Unlike other buildings in the vast sprawl of Coruscant, the Jedi Temple stood alone. A colossal pyramid with multiple spires rising skyward from its flat top. It sat apart from everything, at the end of a broad promenade linking it with bulkier, sharper-edged towers in which solitude and meditation were less likely to be found. Within the temple were housed the Jedi Knights and their students, the whole of the order engaged in contemplation and study of the Force, in codification of its dictates and mastery of its disciplines, and in training to serve the greater good it embodied. The Jedi Council Room dominated a central portion of the complex. The council itself was in session, its doors closed, its proceedings hidden from the eyes and ears of all but 14 people. 12 of them, some human, some non-human, comprised the council, a diverse and seasoned group who had gravitated to the order from both ends of the galaxy. The final 2 Jedi, who were guests of the council this afternoon, were Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The seats of the 12 council members formed a circle facing inward to where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stood, the former relating the events of the past few weeks, the latter a step behind his master, listening attentively. The room was circular and domed, supported by graceful pillars spaced between broad windows open to the city and the light. The shape of the room and the council seating reflected the Jedi belief in the equality of and interconnection between all things. In the world of the Jedi, the balance of life within the Force was the pathway to understanding and peace. Qui-Gon studied the faces of his listeners as he spoke, each of them familiar to him. Most were Jedi masters like himself, among them Yoda and Mace Windu, seniors in rank among those seated. They were more compliant in the ways of the Jedi Order than he had ever been or would probably ever be. He stood apart in the mosaic circle that formed a speaker's platform for those who addressed the council, his tall, broad form and deep voice commanding the attention of those gathered, his blue eyes fixing them each in turn, constantly searching for a reaction to his words. They watched him carefully. Stately Ki-Adi-Mundi, young and beautiful Adi Gallia, slender Depa Billaba, crested and marble-faced Evan Peel, and all the others, each different and unique in appearance, each with something vital to offer as a representative of the council. Qui-Gon brought his eyes back to Mace Windu and Yoda, the ones he must convince, the ones most respected and powerful of those who sat in judgment. "My conclusion," he finished quietly, his story completed, "is that the one who attacked me on Tatooine is a Sith Lord." The silence that followed was palpable. Then there was a stirring of brown robes, a shifting of bodies and limbs. Glances were exchanged, and murmurs of disbelief quickly voiced. "A Sith Lord?" Mace Windu repeated with a growl, leaning forward. He was a strong, dark-skinned man with a shaved head and penetrating eyes, smooth-faced despite his years. "Impossible!" Ki-Adi-Mundi snapped irritably, not bothering to hide his dismay at the suggestion. "The Sith have been gone for a millennium." Yoda shifted only slightly in his chair, a small and wizened presence in the company of much larger beings, his eyes gone to slits like a contented sand panther's, his whiskery, wrinkled face turned toward Qui-Gon's thoughtfully. "Threatened, the Republic is, if the Sith are involved," he observed in his soft, gravelly voice. The others began to mutter anew among themselves. Qui-Gon said nothing, waiting them out. They had believed the Sith destroyed. They had believed them consumed by their own lust for power. He could feel Obi-Wan shift uncomfortably at his shoulder, having trouble maintaining his silence. Mace Windu leaned back heavily, his strong brow furrowing. "This is difficult to accept, Qui-Gon. I do not understand how the Sith could have returned without us knowing." "Hard to see, the dark side is," Yoda said with a small snort. "Discover who this assassin is? We must." "Perhaps he will reveal himself again," Ki-Adi-Mundi suggested with a nod to Qui-Gon. "Yes," Mace Windu agreed. This attack was with purpose, that much is clear. The Queen is his target. Since he failed once, he may try again. Yoda lifted one skinny arm, pointing at Qui-Gon. With this Naboo Queen you must stay, Qui-Gon. Protect her you must. The others murmured their approval, evidencing the confidence they felt in the Jedi Master's abilities. Still, Qui-Gon said nothing. We shall use all our resources to unravel this mystery and discover the identity of your attacker, Mace Windu advised. One hand lifted in dismissal. May the Force be with you, Qui-Gon Jinn. May the Force be with you, Yoda echoed. Obi-Wan turned to leave. He stopped when Qui-Gon did not follow, but instead remained standing before the council. Obi-Wan held his breath, knowing what was coming. Yoda cocked his head questioningly. More to say, have you, Qui-Gon Jinn? With your permission, my master, the Jedi replied, gaze steady. I have encountered a vergence in the Force. Yoda's eyes widened slightly. A vergence, you say? Located around a person? Mace Windu asked quickly. A boy. His cells have the highest concentration of midi-chlorians I have ever seen in a life form. He paused. It is possible he was conceived by midi-chlorians. There was a shocked silence this time. Qui-Gon Jinn was suggesting the impossible, that the boy was conceived not by human contact, but by the essence of all life, by the connectors to the Force itself, the midi-chlorians. Comprising collective consciousness and intelligence, the midi-chlorians formed the link between everything living and the Force. But there was more that troubled the Jedi Council. There was a prophecy, so old its origins had long since been lost, that a chosen one would appear, imbued with an abundance of midi-chlorians, a being strong with the Force and destined to alter it forever. It was Mace Windu who gave voice to the Council's thoughts. You refer to the prophecy, he said quietly, of the one who will bring balance to the Force. You believe it is this boy. Qui-Gon hesitated. I don't presume. But you do, Yoda snapped challengingly. Revealed your opinion is, Qui-Gon. The Jedi Master took a deep breath. I request the boy be tested. Again, there was silence as the members of the council exchanged glances, communicating without words. Eyes shifted back to Qui-Gon. To be trained as a Jedi, you request for him? Yoda asked softly. Finding him was the will of the Force. Qui-Gon pressed ahead recklessly. I have no doubt of it. There is too much happening here for it to be anything else. Mace Windu held up one hand, bringing the debate to a close. Bring him before us, then. Yoda nodded somberly, eyes closing. Tested he will be,